Well, gentlemen, good afternoon. Lovely to see you. Having listened to you all season, and we're now looking forward to Europe. I've got to say that I have thought the only connection between Larne and Europe would be a ferry. We've now got a football team. I mean, is there a kind of pinch me feeling, John? You played for the club for so long. You look back on
Yeah,
that. That was a dream. How do you put this in some sort of context?
it's been fantastic. I mean, I said before, so I did, James, that whenever I played, we were playing in front of maybe 200 or 300 fans, and now to be playing in front of, well, at the minute we haven't, but for a long time we haven't been playing with any fans, but normally you would get maybe 1,800 average gate really into the matches. I mean, the match against Clifton to get into Europe was absolutely magnificent. Probably one of the happiest matches I've ever been at, and I've never seen so many happy people. Joel and I were ecstatic whenever they scored. It was fantastic for the whole club and the whole town, most importantly.
Yeah, Joel. I mean, you said that, I think in the commentary there were kind of grown men crying. I mean, you're one of the grown men or younger men that stood there watching John play, and a lot of people would have felt a lot of emotion on that Cliftonville result.
Absolutely, James. That's it. You've fans that have been there since they were kids, fans that have been brought there by their parents, and also fans that have only been there in the past 3 or 4 years, but are very much part of the community of Larne. And each one of them, all of them, are as valid as each other. Whether you've been there since McKinstry was tearing up and down like a brick wall at the back, or if you've just been there since 2017, the overall feeling for me that day, and I do have the context of having been around the club for a fair long time, not as long as many others, but the feeling was just of one of community pride. It was something that the whole town had to be proud of, something that we could point at and say, look, that's our boys and they've done that. That's who we are. And it was, to me, it was a real sense of the identity of Larne. You started to feel that, I think, really like tangibly for the first time, that the football club was really interwoven with now the identity of the town. And that's dream stuff. That's dream stuff for all of us.
I want to make John feel good about himself before I sort of kick him when he's down. My team traditionally is Ipswich. That's where I'm from. If I meet one of the team from '81, then I become completely starstruck. What was it like being told that you're going to be commentating alongside somebody you've admired for so long?
Oh, I mean, it's been fantastic.
You're no, this isn't about me. This isn't about me, McKinstry.
That's going to be the best answer now. We'll carry on. This is brilliant.
No, I'll take that. Listen, for my money, John McKinstry is Mr. Larne. Look, that's nothing I won't say to his face as well. 800 plus appearances for the club. Your father was a player and a manager. Managed the Steel and Sons Cup as well.
That's right. Joe.
Listen, club men like that come around. They're generational if you're lucky. So for me to be able to stand beside him and take in so many games and sort of share the ups and the downs. If you'd have told a young Joel standing at Emmer Park or standing wherever we would have watched the boys play back in those early 2000s, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So it's been my privilege, genuinely. And there have been some excellent guests throughout the season. I've really enjoyed being able to connect with a lot of players that I would have watched and known from growing up and stuff. But I think it's fair to say that we're an unlikely duo, myself and John there, but it's something just clicked and it's been phenomenal.
John, it's always nice hearing nice things about yourself and also talking about Joel very nicely, but you're not going to be there for the big games. This is something I couldn't believe. I was expecting to see you at Inver for the second leg.
Yeah, James, I've been taking a lot of stick in the town about it. So I mean, getting into Larne for the first time ever, and unfortunately, I've been asked to manage the Ireland golf team in the European Championships in Spain, and I fly out on Saturday, and I'm not back to the following Saturday, and I have to self-isolate as well when I get back. So I'm so disappointed. But if I can get the Welsh game out there, I'll certainly be tuning in to see it.
It's disappointing, isn't it? But you'll actually probably watching the stream of the second leg then from home, won't you?
Yeah, I will be. Yeah, I don't know who'll be sitting beside Joe, but I'm sure he'll find somebody, so he will.
Has he got any annoying habits, by the way? There's not a lot of space on that gantry, is there?
No. The only problem he has, he's a West Bromwich Albion supporter, so he must be the only West Brom supporter in the whole of Northern Ireland, I'd say.
No, my father-in-law was a West Brom fan, so you've gone up in my estimations. The only thing that annoyed me watching the streams was the cameraman from the BBC that was on the end of the gantry that I couldn't see the corner with.
Yeah,
that's right. We couldn't get rid of him. Yeah,
tight little space up there, but you have to find a way to make it work for everybody, and that's the thing. You don't understand. Like well, you do, James, but probably the person watching the stream, and I certainly didn't just understand the amount of technology and the number of people that it took to put a broadcast on. And obviously with Larne, like we're doing it largely ourselves, and you obviously would have experience of much greater, but there's a real true art to it, and it takes so many people that need to kind of work and move in harmony and sort of coexist, and that was a whole separate lesson throughout the season, to be honest.
And then you throw wind, rain, snow, sleet, and on the final day, sunshine at you, and you expect you to actually come out with the words as well.
Do you know what? Actually, I meant to text John about this. I was at the friendly last night against Coleraine, and I noticed that they now have plexiglass the whole way around that little commentary box. And I was just wondering where that love was whenever we were standing up there getting rained on and sleeted and snowed all season long. But hopefully, a bit more protected in the future.
And John, I think the one thing I appreciated from watching the streams is that because the crowds weren't there, you could hear everything that was going on the pitch, and maybe had to be a little bit careful about what you said, John.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I did it, I'll be honest, James, I was quite nervous. I never done it before. But of course, Joel took me to the director's box. We actually didn't have the gantry, we had the director's box. And I like to give a bit of stick myself and take a bit of stick. So we were sitting beside the directors when we were actually doing the commentating, and it was not easy, I can assure you, because I was getting taps on the shoulder and all sorts. And I'm trying to concentrate on doing the commentating, which wasn't easy. So I'll never forgive him for taking us to the director's box. But thankfully, yes, now we're up in the gantry.
John, from a player's point of view, pre-season was one of those things that players don't like, but they realise it's kind of a necessary evil. A 2-week pre-season leading into a new season, is that good because momentum continues, or is that a nice?
Well, in my opinion, James, I'll be honest with you, I love the breaks. You know, you're full on. I mean, Larne played more games than any other team. I mean, a 2-week break is not much. I mean, if you want to go away with your family, you want to go on holidays, and I'm sure, well, maybe at this time you probably don't on holidays, but certainly to me it was too short, 2 weeks, and I'm sure some of the players will probably agree with that.
Will the players? Yeah, Joe, do you think the players will bounce though into the Barla game in some way, shape, or form?
You know, I think for the success that we had aimed for and achieved ahead of schedule, it has to be said, there has to be a downside to it, and it's just one of those facts that it is. There hasn't been an off season really. I mean, the boys were back practicing after maybe a few days off. I think from having a word with Tiernan and a couple of the lads last night, this is what they worked all year for. This is the dream that they, you know, and what a way to do it, to go right down to the wire like that, having the opportunities cascade down the way they did through the Irish Cup, through automatic qualification, through league position, all that kind of stuff, and the narrative and the way it ended, that was the goal. And I think there's a sense of gratitude and a real sense of kind of optimism and a sense of passion that we've got there. And I think they're quite happy to, yes, it would have been nice, I think, if they would have been able to rest the bodies and whatever else, but this is what we're here for. This is the real stuff, you know.
Did that make the fairy tale even better to tell? I mean, yes, we got the happy ending, but we had to go through the mill to get to the happy ending, didn't we, Joe?
John will be able to tell you better than I that it's the Larne way, that if there's an easy way to do it, we'll find 3 or 4 harder ways to do something. You know, it's it wouldn't have been the Larne way to do it on the first time of asking. You need to have the adversity of losing the Irish Cup final, losing that game against Glentoran that would have secured you an automatic position. You need to go through all of that, and obviously the challenge at the league title itself, which kind of fell away a little bit towards the end, and then right at the last time of asking, not only that, but a semi-final winner in the 93rd, 94th minute to take you to that final. John, you know yourself, that's how Larne does things.
Is he right?
He is. It's 100%. I remember back in, I played in 3 decades, James. I played in the 80s and 90s and then retired in 2003. But I remember in the 80s, we were 3rd in the league and we played Glentoran on New Year's Day and we beat them 4-0 to go top of the league. And after that, we never hardly won a match and we finished up 4th. So it was a wee bit similar, and the fact is that we lost matches in January and February, and it was a bit of a downer for the club. So to come back the way we did was absolutely fantastic. We didn't play particularly well in the Irish Cup. It was probably 2 games I felt the team didn't play particularly well. It was the Crusaders game at home. We were beat 3-0 and Fulcher was sent off that day. And the Irish Cup, I just thought Linfield came out of the block so much quicker.
How much benefit do they get from a season like that, these players, in terms of growth, experience, and maybe a season on the clock for some of the younger players that we've seen kind of emerge towards the tail end?
Yeah, it's so important. So it is experience they got. I mean, we brought 3 or 4 players on against Glentoran that time, and they all did tremendously well. So, I mean, young Lusty looks a prospect at the minute, and, you know, he didn't get many games, he had 1 or 2. So the experience will definitely do them a world of good, all of them.
John, as a Larne person, I mean, I love the place because it's been very kind to me. There's some people who looked after me when I was at university, and I love the fact that there is part of an element that is Wee Larne, but Wee Larne also upsets me because I don't want people looking down on this town. I want this town to be standing on its own 2 feet and proving people wrong. So where are you kind of on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we've had sort of bad publicity over the last lot of years. It's a tremendous little town. It really is. We've got the coastline, the harbour, and it's been fantastic for the community. I mean, everybody's got involved in it. Even though there's maybe 1,800, 2,000 at it, everybody follows it as well on streaming that too. So it's been magnificent for the club and everything.
Joel, do you get the feeling, from being a fan, but from being a director, that the perceptions are changing?
There's just no way that we can't, to be honest, James. Like, there's just no way. We're kicking doors down now. We're announcing ourselves, and that's phenomenal. I often think back to whenever I was at school, and people would have asked me what football team I support, expecting to hear, United, Liverpool, West Brom, whatever. But my first answer was always Larne, because it's where I spend my weekends. We were home and away, and we had a couple of friends that were older and could drive, and made sure that we always made it to away matches, all that kind of stuff. But I used to get teased for it. I got raked to bits at school. I would have got laughed at, on the main street. And it's no disrespect. It's just it's the way things were back then. People, when they thought football, they thought higher level football. When I drive down home now, like to Larne, I've lived in Belfast for a number of years now, but you don't have to go very far before you see Larne merchandise and people on the street, and it's fantastic. It's not just the demographic you would expect for Irish League football. It's men of all ages, women of all ages. It's families, it's kids, and that's wonderful. I said it at the start, that Cliftonville game really encapsulated it, but there's a real sense that there's something for the community to rally around and to be proud of. And if I can take that on a little tangent, I mean, I say, the Larne way, doing things difficult. I say that half joking, that may have been the way things were previously, but I think this is a process. It's very easy to forget that we're in a process right now because of the success that keeps coming our way. But you don't build a professional football club on the pitch and off the pitch overnight. And I think the transformation that's happening with the club right now, it's stopping being happy to be here. We're delighted that we have this support and we have this regeneration, and starting to be a threat to other teams. I've started to see it in the way that other teams are treating us. Whenever the announcement that Mr. Bruce was coming in, everybody was like, oh, good for Larne, let's see what they do with it. And now there's a real change in tone of the way we get addressed, and that to me is a measure of success. I think as the years go on, I want to see us continue to qualify for Europe. I want to see us to start pushing for league titles, but I want to continue to see that shift in attitude from, oh, this is great, isn't it, this is dream stuff, to look, this is where we belong now, at the top of football in Northern Ireland.
And John, also doing it in the right way. I mean, how much admiration have you got for Tiernan and what he's done in terms of the style that we see on the pitch?
I have great admiration for Tiernan and obviously Kenny, because let's be honest, 5 years ago, James, when Tiernan came to the club, people forget that Davy McAlinden was in charge. Davy left then, and when Davy left, 5 of the top players left, and Tiernan was left with no team. Then obviously they were lying bottom of the league in November when Kenny came in. Now, it's like any owner, if you come in and you're bottom of the league, probably your first thing you're going to look at is your manager, and you get rid of him. But you have to give credit, and I really sincerely mean this, you have to give credit to Kenny Bruce for what he did. He was the one that kept Tiernan on and said, let's give this guy a chance, let's see how good he is. And he hasn't looked back since that.
I don't want to rub it in by talking about Europe finally, but in terms of the opponent, they're Welsh. They've been in the competition before, so they have that in terms of experience, but they're part-time. Is there an opportunity?
Yeah. There is an opportunity, but I didn't realise when I looked it up actually that Ballatown have played in Europe 7 times. They've made 5 very good signings recently, and particularly they've signed Big David Edwards, who's 35, and he played for Wales 43 times. He scored 3 goals. He came on all 3 matches in 2016, so that will give the club a massive boost there. So it'll be a difficult match, but then Linfield, I think Linfield beat them a few years ago. So I honestly believe that the match will be very, very tight between both teams.
But I guess you'd want it in the Park second leg, wouldn't you?
Oh, without a doubt. I think it's worked out quite well that way. Definitely, you'd need to see what you do once you go over there, see how you get on there, and then you take it back to Inver Park and you see what you have to do to win the match then outright.
And Joel, just sum up the mood at the club. I know talking to people, they're excited, but this is something that no one else thought would happen. Certainly not as soon as it has happened.
No, that's it. There's determination, is what I would say, from the playing side to the coaching side through to the board of directors and all of the staff. We're moving mountains at the minute as still a fairly small club in terms of just staffing, resources. As that continues to grow, and as I say, it takes time. It's going to take some time for all of us to get to where we want to be in terms of the organisation, the facilities, which continue to spring up everywhere. But there's a determination that this is what we wanted. It may have come a little bit quicker than what we'd expected, but we're all ready, I'd say, to a man and a woman to put their shoulder to it and to just get it done. This is the prize that we've all dreamt of, and nothing worth having comes easy. So to me, it's a real air of determination, and also the satisfaction of having got there. It's fantastic, and long may it continue.
I've given John some friendly stick. I'll now try with you. I wear a beard for the last 3 years, but that's nothing compared to what's growing on your face. I mean, how much love, care, and attention does that take? Because it's incredible. Or
It's
does it just
wonderful.
snap off?
It's it's incredible to me that you get credit for literally doing nothing. I think people who shave should get more credit. They have to do much more work than I. I get up in the morning, throw some shampoo in this thing, get my lunch cut in it, and that's pretty much it.
It's a beard for Europe, isn't it?
I've been growing this until we finally made it. It can now come off.
Gentlemen, look, thank you ever so much for chatting to me. I've got to say, John, good luck in Spain with the Irish golf team. Absolutely fantastic. We'll all be thinking of you there.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
it's
James.
a real honour that. So hope that goes well. And from all those people like me that relied on you for a whole season, thank you so much for making me laugh, for making me cry, and for taking me through a huge journey of just unbelievable highs and lows. Honestly, you're as big a part of that as the players and the management. So thank you for that from the bottom of my heart.
Our privilege. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, James.